Hi friends, welcome to Pilates with Tal. Today we're going to be doing a lower body stretch. Always super helpful since we do so much lower body activation in Pilates. So we're going to get started in a tall seat. You're halfway down your mat, your knees are bent. You can place your hands on your knees, crown of the head is nice and long, reaching towards the ceiling, but your shoulders are relaxed. Maybe take a little sway from side to side. Start to intentionally connect to your breath. Take a nice big inhale as you reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then can you soften into that? Two more, nice big inhale. Can you soften into that? And last one, nice big inhale, and then on that next inhale, you're gonna take your feet, place your heels in towards one another, and then you're gonna start just by fluttering your knees out to either side. So there's a little bit of movement here, letting the muscles know that it's okay for them to relax. For 3, 2, 1, and then when you're ready, you're gonna grow through the spine again, and then start to fold over those legs, trying to go as far as you can with that tall spine. And then when you can't go any further, that's when you can fold over those legs. Taking a moment for yourself here. Maybe feeling a stretch through the hips, through the inner thighs, through the side glutes. Wherever you're feeling this, can you meet it with a ton of kindness, compassion, and most importantly, patience. We do everything super quickly these days. It's really helpful for the body to slow down. It takes time for the body to let go and understand that it's safe. And especially when we're stretching, it takes about 30 to 60 seconds of staying in a stretch for our body to actually let go, for the muscles to release. Maybe that's why sometimes you find that when you're in a stretch for longer than 30 seconds, you can go a little bit deeper. If anything's ever feeling super intense for you, instead of pushing yourself further into it, can you stop and can you breathe into where you're feeling the most sensation? You're here for 3, 2, 1, and then gently let it go. Take a nice big inhale, come all the way up to your seat again. And from here, you're going to start to walk your right shin forward and start to walk your left leg back behind you. So one option here is bringing your left shin parallel to the long edge of your mat, right shin parallel to the short edge of your mat, and then start to square your chest forward. Maybe this is enough of a stretch for you. Maybe you want to start to hinge your body forward. Another option is coming into a traditional pigeon pose. So if you'd like to take that variation, you send that left leg back behind you, and whichever version feels best in your body is where we're gonna pause for about a minute or so. So just start to notice where you're really feeling this in your body and where you're hoping to feel it. So if you feel a big stretch through your right side glutes, can you breathe into that? Sending breath into the part of the body that needs a bit of space and love and attention. You always have the option of draping your head all the way down, resting it on your hands. Again, it just depends what variation of the pose is accessible for your body today. And just know that every day will be different. Give another 3 rounds of breath here. The nice thing about a video like this is that if you want to stay in any stretch longer, you can always pause exactly where you need it and then come back when you're ready. So if you're following along with me, In your next inhale, you're gonna start to lift all the way up onto your hands. Start to feel a stretch in your left front hip. You're holding here before we switch sides for 3, 2, 1, and don't worry, we will definitely come back to those pesky hip flexors. So, swinging your left leg back around, placing that left leg on top of the right, and then can you start to feel a little stretch through the left side glute here? Maybe this is enough of a sensation for you. Just know we are going to go into the other side. But if you want a little bit more in this moment in time before we transition over to the next side, maybe with a tall spine, you start to lean forward. And then when you can't go any further with a tall spine, that's when you can drape over those legs. Again, this might feel very intense for you. Know that your breath is always here as a tool to help you through these icky moments, but also carry that tool through life with you as well. Just like when we stretch in your everyday, when big feelings come up, instead of trying to ignore them or distract from them, maybe you just breathe into them and notice that that's usually what it takes to let them pass, even if it takes a bit of time. When you're ready on that next inhale, can you come all the way up and try to keep your left shin where it is. It's gonna require a bit of adjustment, but then bring your right shin parallel to the long edge of your mat. Again, maybe you stay here. Maybe you come into your pigeon pose. Wherever you are, can you find a moment to pause with yourself? Notice that when you first get into this pose, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. As long as nothing's pulling, that's okay. If you do feel any pulling, that's definitely a sign that you've gone too far and you need to come up in the stretch a little bit or take the other variation. Again, noticing what's coming up for you. And instead of fighting those sensations, maybe you use your breath to dig just a little bit deeper. 3 more rounds of breath here. Noticing if those deeper breaths help your body go a little bit deeper. And on your next one, can you come onto your left glute, swing that right leg around, place your right leg on top of your left, grow tall through the spine. Maybe you stay here, maybe you start to come all the way forward. Maybe this is enough for you, or maybe this is where you start to fold. Again, feeling a sensation through the right side glutes. On your next inhale, can you slowly start to come all the way up? And then can you start to swing your legs back behind you? So you're just gonna find a tabletop position. And can you take a couple cat-cows here, see how you feel in the body? Inhaling as you arch, exhale as you curve. Last one, curve all the way in. Can you send your right toes back behind you and then curve through the spine, bring that foot in between the hands. Pause here. When you're ready, can you come all the way up Can you place your hands on your right knee or just above your right thigh? Maybe walk your right foot in a little bit closer. And then can you just pay attention to the front left hip here? Start to tuck that hip in towards your rib cage, and then can you send yourself forward? So noticing a stretch in the left hip flexor here in the left front of the hip. And just breathe into it. Also, if you're feeling any discomfort in the left knee, please feel free to grab some padding or double up your mat and then come back into this. Then try to grow tall through the crown of the head. Use your breath here. So especially when things get uncomfortable, sometimes our posture suffers. We round our shoulders forward. It almost looks from the outside that we're as uncomfortable as we're maybe feeling in this one isolated part of our body. But when we do shrug forward, we lose access to as much of our breath as we need. And getting a good stretch session in is all about the breath. Last 2. 1. And on that last one, can you slowly start to walk that right foot forward and then find a bit of a deeper stretch through that left hip. Maybe you start to come down on your hands here. Also, being on your hands is going to take a little bit of pressure off of that back knee. And then what we're going to do is start to walk those hands back as we start to straighten the front leg, toes point in towards your face. Can you pause here? Can you try to even out the hips as much as possible? Notice if your right hip is going forward, can you start to bring it back, left hip forward? And then start to walk it forward. Find a bend through that right knee. Send it back. Last one. And then can you bring that knee to meet the left? Bring your knees back under your hips, hands back under shoulders. Can you take a cat-cow here? When you're ready, can you send that left leg back behind you? Curve through the spine and then bring your left foot forward in between your hands. Maybe you bring that left leg slightly in. And then can you start to bring your hips in towards your rib cage on the right side, growing tall through the crown of the head, and maybe that's when you slowly start to press slightly forward through that right hip. If you sit a lot during the day, if you cycle, if you're under chronic stress, this might be extra uncomfortable for you. So try to take it easy and just know that you don't need to push yourself all at once. Releasing through the hip flexors is usually quite the slow process, since they're the first to tense when we feel stress. Since these are the muscles that get our body ready to run. Sometimes just a simple email makes your body think that it's going to need to escape something. So again, just be kind, be gentle with yourself. Just know that your body is just trying to protect you. That's all it's ever trying to do. And then let that go slightly. Start to walk your left foot forward a bit. And then can you find a deeper stretch through that right hip flexor? Maybe notice if your left hip was shifting all the way forward, like mine kind of was. Can you try to square the hips and then find your stretch? Maybe using your hands on the mat, if that's a lot of tension on your back knee. We don't want to be creating tension here. We want to help the body release. And then when you're ready, can you start to walk your hands back, straightening through the left leg, toes come in towards your face. And then try to grow tall through the crown of the head and then slightly fold forward. Can you breathe here? A lot of us have very tight hip flexors. So a movement that looks as simple as this actually feels like a lot. You're here for 3, 2, and in 1, we'll invite some movement back. So walking all the way forward and then back. 2. Last one. And then when you're ready, can you swing that leg back behind you? And then what we're gonna do here is send the hips from side to side. Just releasing any tension that may have built up in the low back, in the side glutes. For 3, 2, 1, swinging your legs forward. And then we're gonna lie all the way down on our backs. So when you get down to your back, can you take your right foot, place it just below your left knee. Both heels are flexed. As you grab the back of your left thighs, can you bring that leg in towards you, feeling a stretch through the right side glute. Maybe you stay static here. Maybe you start to wiggle through the toes. Maybe you rock from side to side. Really just using those little cues to explore what feels good in your body and then staying in the version that feels best for you. When you're ready, take a nice big inhale. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. Nice big inhale, breathe into the nose. Let it go. Last one. And on that next exhale, can you switch the legs out? So again, just make sure that both feet are flexed. And then you take the variation that works best in your body. Nice big inhale. Let it go. 2 more just like that. And last one, can you keep your hands behind your right thigh? Can you drop your left foot all the way back towards the mat? Can you reach those right toes up towards the ceiling? Pause and start to point the toes and then bring them in towards your face. Keep going here. Last 2. 1, can you pause with the toes bent and either you stay here just stretching through the back of that right leg or option to send your left toes long. Trying to find the places in your body that are maybe reacting with tension. Can you breathe into them? So maybe your arms are tensing, maybe your jaw is clenching, maybe your eyebrows are furrowing. Maybe your hamstring is really acting up. Can you breathe into that and then let it go? 2 more. Last one. And on your next exhale, can you bend that knee, place it all the way back down, grab behind that left thigh, and then start off by pointing and then flexing through the toes. Notice if you're hearing any crackling. I know I sure do. Notice if one side is maybe a bit more tense than the other. So maybe you have a hard time getting this leg as straight as the other. Maybe it was the opposite way around. Again, just trying to not judge your body here. Just notice. And on that next one, can you keep your toes pointed up towards the ceiling? Either you stay here or you extend that right leg long. Noticing if your toes are gripping, if your jaw is clenching, whatever else is happening here, breathing through it. For 3, 2, 1, let that go. Bend your knee in towards your chest, bring the other to meet it. Take a little rock and sway from side to side. And that is your lower body stretch. I hope you enjoyed that, and feel free to use that after any leg day, or if you've been sitting after a long day of work, really whenever your body's craving a bit of release through the lower body. And feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Thank you as always for moving with me.